There is an Alabama jail that's detaining pregnant women and new mothers for alleged drug use while pregnant, albeit none of them have been convicted whatsoever. This per The Root. Under Alabama's chemical endangerment law, which was interpreted in 2013 to protect fetuses, women who test positive for drugs while pregnant in Etowah County can be held until they attend a drug rehab facility and pay the county $10,000 in cash bail. Now, the individuals who are involved here, Emma Roth, here she is. She's a staff attorney for the National Advocates for Pregnant Women. She's also representing the women here. And she says it's not really that simple in terms of drug use, and thus you are in a position where you are going to be detained. No, not at all. Also per The Root, the combination of lack of space at these rehab facilities, lack of cash to pay $10,000 up front, and in some cases not qualifying for inpatient rehab, has left these pregnant women stuck in jail for months. That's right, they are in jail for months. And the thing is, again, it's not that clear and easy when it comes to determining who has been using drugs or even why they should continue to be detained and jailed. For example, Ashley Banks, 23 years old, she was detained after admitting that she smoked pot the day she found out she was pregnant. Here's a picture of Ashley Banks. And because Banks didn't qualify for drug rehab, she spent the next 3 months of her pregnancy in jail. Meanwhile, due to overcrowding, Banks slept on the floor throughout a high-risk pregnancy where she bled for 5 weeks and suffered from hunger and fainting spells. And then there was a woman named Holly Burns, mother of 2, arrested 6 days after her son's birth. She tested positive for meth and Subutex, which is used to treat pregnant women with opioid addictions. She's challenging the validity of her drug test right now, as her lawyers say that it was a false positive due to nasal medication that Burns was taking. She's also been denied access to pads and new underwear despite bleeding for days after giving birth. She's been separated from her children and newborns for months, and yet the DA, which is Carol Griffith, she's standing by the county's decision to keep Burns detained because of her failed drug tests. This is absolutely upsetting and disturbing. It's real here that the United States is simply looking to punish pregnant women. Yet at the same time, they want so many of us women to continue to give birth, to populate. Yet at the same time, we're punished for it. And I get that there is drugs potentially in this situation, but at the same time, if you have a pregnant woman and you're supposed to be protecting the fetus, why is she sleeping on a cold floor? Why isn't she in a safe environment that would protect her fetus and keep her from having a high-risk pregnancy? It doesn't make sense at all. But then again, very few aspects of our legislation when it concerns women's bodies actually make sense. Jessica.
Do women have a shot at carrying a pregnancy to term and having a healthy pregnancy under these conditions? No, but the same politicians that are advocating for banning abortion are going to be silenced on this, like they usually are when we talk about the disgusting nature of our criminal justice system in the United States. This policy clearly oppresses working class people, everyday people in this country who don't have a lot of money. Think about the decision they are facing. By the way, let's also mention Ashley Banks, 23 years old, smoked pot earlier on the day she found out she was pregnant. Is that a crime? Is that a reason for someone to be in jail? She didn't even know she was pregnant or risking the life of a fetus, and who knows if she'll make the choice to carry that pregnancy to term. But if you test positive for drugs, you can either go to rehab, go to jail, or pay $10,000. Many people do not have access to health care in the United States, and many people have health care plans that will not pay for them to go to rehab. So your choice is to cough up $10,000, which I'm sure most Americans absolutely do not have in their bank to pay. And so you're left with this option of now you're in jail because you smoked weed earlier on the day you found out you were pregnant. This is the same kind of criminal justice and disproportionate policing of Black and brown communities, of working class communities, putting people in jail for marijuana charges, but now making it even more severe that if you're pregnant and they drug test you and found out that you smoked weed earlier on the day you were pregnant, they're going to put you in jail. And the crime is being poor here when we look at it. The crime is not smoking marijuana here.
Yeah, I would actually say the crime is also being a woman. It also really kind of sits with me, this thought that, you're smoking marijuana, how that's supposed to be dangerous to the fetus, where I don't necessarily know that there's research out there, because the last I checked, our federal government was saying there's not enough research on marijuana, despite us having had the substance forever. But if you are a woman who drinks alcohol or wine, you're not finding yourself in any handcuffs. Yet we do know that alcohol is a toxin, yet it's readily available. It just really shows you the hypocrisy of our nation when it comes to drugs versus alcohol and this carceral state that we have operating.